Hello everyone, I'm back with a new video. It's been a long time, but I've been doing a lot of things, so I'm sorry for not uploading for such a long time. And also I've been studying for this new opening I'm going to teach you today. If you've clicked on the video, you've probably already seen what it is. It is called the Caro-Kann Gambit. So for white, this is a white gambit for white. So the way you're going to play it is pawn to e4. After the Caro-Kann defense, you can play c4 or d4. I'd recommend just playing d4. So after they play d5, you're going to want to put your pawn here. This also, you probably do not comment this is like copying anything. I've just seen this in a couple games, so I decided to just make a couple lines off of it. So after they capture the e-pawn, you're going to play the knight to bring your knight to c3. After the knight goes to f6, you're going to bring your bishop to g5, attacking the knight and threatening to take this pawn. The main line is playing your bishop to f5 as black, which is the best move. But the way you're going to counter is that pawn to f3. And the idea here is after the recapture is to recapture, trade the bishops, and then just take and then try and recapture all your pawns back. So after he takes, you're going to want to take back. Usually they're going to put their pawn here. And here you can decide to retreat or take. Most of the time you want to take, trade the bishops, and then most common move is here or here. Sometimes knight goes here. But after bishop here, we just long castle. If they take, you don't actually screw up structure, you just take with the queen. Mostly people will short castle here thinking it's fine, so you can just start tacking here and stuff like that, and then his weaknesses start popping up. So that's how you play the main line of one. So the main line of part 2 is obviously Caro-Kann, c4, here, and then if just in case this is just like a queen's gambit, you just brought out the pawn and they just played c6. So here they're going to take this pawn. Now you're going to bring the knight here. Knight goes here. And you play here. If they play here, take immediately. After they recapture, knight takes. Start setting up a trick here if they play certain moves. Queen to e7, usually thinking if you play here, you think here, and then they just take it because it's pinned. So here you play the only move, queen to e2, setting up another pin so you can move your knight. If they still bring the pawn here, you have a sneaky little check right here because the only thing that can attack this is the queen. And here it's pinned, and it's a discovered check. It's like a weird smother discovery check. King here, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna take here, recaptures. If they do move there, you're gonna want to do this. If they do take with the king, you're gonna take here, and then take that pawn. So here, you take that, and you're up a little bit of a pawn right here. As you can see, white's winning the pawn. But instead, if they take with the bishop, and they brought their king here, it's just a fork. So black has to be careful, and they have to bring the king to d7. So then you trade the queens, and then you take this pawn. You can take this pawn or this pawn, it doesn't really matter. Here or here wins a pawn. I'd recommend this one because it attacks a rook. Here, if you just want to trade off pieces, I'd recommend taking this pawn. But most common move is rook to f8. The best move is to go right here. Best move is to go here. I don't know why, but the ending says this is some sort of inaccuracy, but it's Stockfish, so you can't really question it. So most common move is rook to e8, trying to set up an attack here, trying to set up a pin. So here you just check. Now here comes a trap. On one of the traps here. Check. If they come here, you're gonna long castle. Any move other than, I'm not very sure, but any move other than an escaping move for this king loses immediately. For example, bishop here, blunders, checkmate. Bishop to c4, check. King's forced to run down, pawn to f3, check. King here. After king here, you bring your knight here, attacking the square, so there's no escape. Black can play anything. They can take your bishop. Let's just check here. And beautiful pin, checkmate. There's no moves for the black king. Nothing can be taken. There are no legal moves. So, that is how you play the h3 line. But let's just say something else happened, alright? They didn't play queen to e7. They played knight to d7 or something like that. Now, here you just play bishop to d3. Any move here really doesn't matter for them. If you're afraid of bishop g4, you can also just bring your queen to b3 and put the pawn there. So if you don't care about that, you just bring your bishop here. They check. You can just bring the knight back. I'd recommend just going with the knight back, which is usually what you're gonna do. If you don't like doubled pawns, bring your thing there so you can take. But here is just honestly better because you can also attack there later if they decide to move away. Because here you can also attack. So it's most common to castle here, and it's important here. If you bring your knight here, it's going to be a check, and you're gonna have to bring the bishop back here. If you want to avoid that, just bring the knight here. Also, you defend that simultaneously. So rook to e8, for example. You can short castle, queen to b3, try and long castle, or maybe actually queen c2 because you need to defend that knight. So that's basically how you're gonna have to play the Caro-Kann Gambit. I'd recommend playing this if you absolutely hate the Caro-Kann. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button. I'm gonna start posting more on weekends, and hope you enjoyed.